really work out for it.
Right, well, let's check in with the maps, as we need to know where we're going for map number 2. Obviously, these were our bans. We had a Method win, and then... Cursed Hollow.
First curse.
It's our first curse.
It's the first cursed.
There you go.
Where does Dahaka come in? Wolf's already pointed out the priority on the global, and we've seen a high priority on that. Now that Falstad's in the equation, is that something you have to be concerned about? So for now, again, I think after the Hanzo nerfs, whether they have the Genji priority on the side of Dignitas again, they've already been banning out Tracer, because if you saw towards the last of League play, Tracer is terrifying in the hands of Schwempy.
All right, well, we're getting to game number 2. Purple is my favorite. Currently 1-0 up for Method. That's going up against Team Dignitas in this EU versus EU matchup.
Abathur ban immediately not only says we're respecting your global prowess, but also is a soft ban on that Valeera strategy we already saw have great success on Sky Temple. They continue to prioritize the Genji here, but I think Method is going to pick up the Dahaka. They take the Garrosh Mouth.
Yeah, I think right now the Genji is normally a deterrent, a soft deterrent. It's a warning towards you're going to go Tracer. There's a lot of good compositions that I think you can pick up the Genji early, and then if they go a Tracer, it's like, wait a minute, this Tracer pick is far less in value. And I think that depending on what Dignitas goes, that still has to be in the back of the mind of Method.
Could Dig go Tracer? Go for the Tracer Genji combo?
Again, I think it's too one-dimensional the same way that their last strat felt one-dimensional. Again, the problem with that was Chromie either had to commit to wave clear or she had to commit to the kill. You can't do both as a Chromie. That's the hardest part.
Yeah. And Tracer especially does still lack a little bit of wave clear, especially on a map so large. So I can see your point there.
Yeah.
I mean, not unless you go for an inferior level 7 on Chromie, but that's not the way, so...
I wonder if Dignitas should just go back to their real I don't want to say roots, but I think one of their strengths always has been their ability to control the macro. More than Method is known for that. Take a global pick here, go to the Dahaka, and control the map. They're going to do it. They take the Hanzo as well, which to a certain extent also helps you control the flow of the map, because he can scatter, quickly clear a boss, quickly clear camps. He's great at doing that.
Right.
And he has mobility over walls, etc., to get to those camps quickly. So this draft for Dignitas feels a little bit dated in some ways, with both Shimada brothers being prioritized this highly, but I think it plays into their style very well.
It does, but I really wonder, are we going to see the scatter build towards more of that PvE, and because there's double boss on this, or is it going to be a response? A lot of teams, especially in North America, started to use that redemption at level 1 to get the cooldown reduction on the auto attacks, and then use that for level 7 to get the armor reduction. And I think that was one of the things that we were seeing starting to be utilized against Garrosh to control that front line. But again, with the range nerf to Hanzo's basic auto attacks, that is much more threatening to do against the Garrosh.
This is why another really strong frontliner from Dignitas would be good. Also, Uther would have been fantastic for that, because it allows Hanzo to play a little bit further forward. So I expect, once again, perhaps Muradin, or as we saw banned out last time, Johanna, you need a strong frontliner to give Hanzo that ability to move forward and put any pressure on at all, if that's the build you plan on going for.
Vala Tassadar coming in,
Ooh.
so maybe the double support Vala here. And will that compete with the consistent damage and I really want to say carry potential that Genji has? It's going to be difficult to get the pick on the Vala. Unless we see something that really, a main tank here that can really get in, dive in, and get on top of Vala with the CC.
Well, you have two options at this point. If you're JPL, it's Muradin or Johanna. Do you want to play defensively and control the front line and deal with the Garrosh, or do you want to go Muradin? Outside of that, it's literally got to be something like a Nubarak, which I don't see Dignitas going that style. Now we have potential. It should be auto attack Vala, but you can consider last year at this time, Q-Build Vala, especially when you look at Fnatic at this very tournament, was running Q-Build Vala coming into that, and they were using a lot of it on Cursed Hollow. But the other thing that you can do with this composition is that you can sustain in a lane without a whole lot of early game kill threat. And so the positioning of Dahaka and the global and which lane Vala Mouth goes to, that could be a lane dominated by Method early game.
I think that the
Nubarak
pick,
that's aggressive. I like it. So instead of committing to protecting the Hanzo and letting him do his work, their strategy is dive into the enemy and hopefully kill them before they can counterattack Hanzo. I dig it.
There's a lot of cool things you can do with this too. Karzium's 7-sided strike is very powerful on this map, especially if you can isolate a target. And sometimes you can do that with Cocoon. Sometimes you just do that by virtue of where the boss fight happens and how well your tanks are positioned. It's a double tank comp, with Dahaka being the solo laner. There's all ways to make the Karzium work. It's a more aggressive version of this, and it also is great for boss control. But it's still, again, if you mess up the combo or if the support is there, it's tough to actually get that kill on the ball.
Is it time for another Valera?
Maybe.
I mean, hell, let's get wild. Give me an Illidan. I mean, at this point, I think anything's available here for Method. But the Valera, you dive in, can you really make it out?
Who are you killing? I don't think the Valera makes
Safe
sense
choice.
here.
Yeah. The Valera could certainly blow up pretty much anyone on that team, considering
You just
how
wait
much
till they
damage we
dive
saw
in.
before.
You don't have
Yeah.
the initiator. You're more of the, oh, Genji used Swift Strike in, good luck getting out type deal.
The Thrall is a much safer pick, though. A lot more sustain, a lot more resilient to if Dignitas are actually the ones playing aggressive, which
That's
for
right.
Nubarak and Karazim is very likely what they're going to be doing.
And of course, you know, Thrall, you know, for the Horde, which is fantastic. And I've just alienated about 50% of our new viewers coming from Warcraft. So
and
welcome.
person directly from your left.
Your alliance? Oh, damn it. All right, well, okay then. So what do you think about these drafts overall, Wolf, looking at them?
I mean, I think that Dignitas has done what I wanted to see from them. They went back to a macro-oriented draft. They have the mobility with the Genji.
Yeah.
Their comp has synergy for the first time today, I honestly feel. They're not reliant on Snitch's hero to be the linchpin, which has been a big weakness of the team today, in my opinion. He's been a little bit off. And I look at this and I think they have what it takes to potentially defeat this double support composition.
Prediction?
I'm going to go with Dignitas this time. They got boss control. They got good composition for the map.
I like the commitment. What they were doing wasn't working. I'm also going with Dignitas. They found out what was going wrong, and they just changed it up, exactly what you should be doing.
Okay.
All right, straight up, here's how it's going to go down. Vala is going to put the pressure onto a Nubarak. It's going to force a Nubarak. You either have to go in or Garrosh gets you tossed and you got to E out and burrow charge out, or you've got to be the initiator quick. And I think that Dignitas, and if they're not sharp on their initial initiation, Method's going to win. I got Method here. I like their draft a lot.
I wanted to stay neutral, but I think that's a cop-out. I did it once, I won't do it again. So I think I'll be the tiebreaker, and I'll go Method 2. It's not really a tiebreaker. It
Yeah,
means
you
there's
made
a
it the tie.
Look, it's late at night, all right? We've been here a while. And that's that. Casters. Oh, wait. It's still the 80-20 split that
Yeah, that
continues.
worked out well last time.
Yeah, it didn't it? Oof. All right, commentators, what do you think? Where do your allegiances lie?
I mean, normally I look at the lineup here and I say Dignitas, but any team that tries to bring my girl back into the meta is
fair.
a favorite, so I kind of have to go with Vala here.
Skimmy?
Yeah, I'm a Vala one trick, so I feel like it has to be that. And it is opposites day, so I mean, we've seen some pretty big upsets, so maybe auto attack Vala J How is a thing.
I doubt that part at least. We have seen Schwimpy play
I'm trying
that
to give him
once,
some
and it was a
love.
hybrid, but
All right.
first, the auto attack build would surprise me, but then again, it's opposite day.
I love
so
you,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, gentlemen, take it away.
All right, guys, so we have our second game coming up. Few people expected Dignitas to get shut down this hard by Method on map number 1, but of course Method would love to make this a 2-0. Let's find out if they can pull it off or if Dignitas is coming back into this series.
That we will. The final game of day number 1, opening day of the Mid-Season Brawl. Dignitas, the team looking to get themselves a point on the board, starting off with Snitch playing Genji, Hanzo played by Poik, Wubby on Dahaka, Zalia on Karazim, and JPL on Anubarak.
And over to the right side of the map here on Cursed Hollow with a 1-0 lead in the series. We have Team Method with Arcana on Garrosh, Malfurion played by Curson. We have Schwimpy as expected on Vala, Tassadar played by Nick, and Ethereal Angel on the War Chief.
You're going to see Jay how they're thinking about, look, Hot Pursuit level 1. There's potential for there to be the auto attack build. I mean, if it's going to go that way, we're looking at Locust Swarm. It could be anything at this stage, but we are seeing a push at level 1.
I mean, I can definitely shed a bit of light on a few things here, and one of them is that the last time they played it already once, and that was in the second part of Phase 2, where we saw Method go for double support Vala, and Schwimpy back then fell back into Hot Pursuit on level 1, and also then went for multi-shot, so hybrid build on Vala, so going a bit old school here, also moving away from Arrow. And they won that game. They actually did really well with it, and Schwimpy in particular did a fantastic job with his positioning, always threatening the front line, being extremely effective while dodging tons of damage. So if he can play on that level again, there's good chances that they can threatening Dignitas heavily. Especially since JPL in particular doesn't really have the best track record with Anubarak. I think he's on 5 games right now and has lost 3 of those 5. So they are obviously opting for aggression here, but if that's going to really pay off, that's something that we still have to find out.
And it has to pay off. I mean, I want to just harness the point from game number 1. They had an aggressive comp and they weren't able to find the kills. That's going to be dimensional shift once again. Getting Nick out of these precarious situations. As Foul said, the route is there. The follow-up collapses onto him. Nope. Not going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely well done here. And, I mean, we've been talking about the previous games a little bit. Dignitas needs to be careful here.
Yeah.
You're 0-2 against Tempest, and you need to get those points somewhere. And now against Method, that's definitely points where they thought, okay, even if things go wrong, we're at least going to pick one map, and they have to prove that now. If they are coming out of the first day with an 0-4 track record, that would definitely put a big dampener on the plans of Dignitas for this tournament.
Absolutely, and not only that, it's going to put a lot of stress on their emotions to really dictate where they can actually sort of place themselves. You're looking for that top 2 spot, obviously, because you get that second chance to fall into the lower bracket come at DreamHack main event. So if you're coming out of this with a poor seeding, it's really adding to that stress.
Yeah, and one of the problems is also, if you are at the top, you find yourself in a position where if you win, it's expected. If you lose, it's a big deal. So there's a lot of added pressure there, and Method is currently utilizing that. What I actually really like, by the way, now that we have punishment taken on for Vala, is also the adjustment that we're seeing on the side of Tassadar. Because instead of going for Life Leech, which is the traditional talent to be picked when you're going for an auto-attacker, and with Vala in particular, we're now having extra armor. And that's usually the adjustment you make when your opponent is trying to burst damage you. And with all the stuns that we have, Nuburak engage, the Haka follow-up, even the arrow on Hanzo later, to just stack even more CC on the target, having the extra armor available is actually really cool for Vala, and it also helps you to keep Thrall and Garrosh alive at that front line.
Well, that was going to be my point, exactly the fact that Garrosh innately has armor, a shield from Tassadar to protect protect Vala, which is very squishy, and then potentially you even have the idea of a Tranquility to provide even more armor. So as the Genji, you're looking to try and jump in with the likes of an Anubarak and the Karazimi, thinking, hang on a minute, these targets are far too beefy for us to take down, and once again you find yourself in a situation of our comp has been outdrafted and we just cannot seem to do what we need.
Interesting setup here too in the meantime, because we're having 3 heroes still at the bot lane as the tribute is being fought over, but almost so stalled out, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, heavy aggression being set up at this point. And as you said, Tassadar is going to be so important later on here. Thrall going down actually. In this case, he doesn't have the Tassadar support, and Garrosh was already in the mid lane soaking experience. So that is the first pick against Ethereal, and therefore also tribute number 1 ending up in the hands of Dignitas.
Fantastic there by Dignitas, respecting the fact that a Vala double support really does win that bottom lane. There's not really much you can do. Think about Vala Oriole, Gul'dan Oriole. It's just got insane wave clear and insane pushing potential. So they look for the pick, and arguably it gives them a lot of value. Denying the XP in that top lane, getting a tribute as well, and sets them up with a first blood.
Now, one of the big deals, of course, is also that we have level 7 for Tassadar on playing. That's going to be super important to make sure that he can reach also the front line whenever someone jumps in there. We have also Blinding Speed now taken. Fantastic talent that is especially synergizing with a Cleansing Touch if it's taken on level 16 or with a Way of 100 Fists.
Yeah.
We've already seen actually a little bit of aggression here from Xayah towards Vala in particular, trying to just go in and put her hit point pool pretty low.
Yeah, well, I mean, you take Vala out of the equation, and Method's comp is very lackluster. I mean, you're going to have the Archon most likely. Well, you'd have to, really, from the Tassadar. And I'm quite curious to see where they go with the Thrall. If they're going to go for an Earthquake, or if they do stick with a Sundering just to try and blow somebody up.
Shrimpy at the front, really trying to just get that pressure out there. Curson cancelling the channel for now. We have still at the side, Genji is being zoned up by Arcana right now, but he's still waiting. Here comes the tribute, gets channeled through, and it's a 1-for-1. But Dignitas with a slight leading experience and actually attempting to gank here.
Arcana caught on the wrong side of the bush here. 4 members ready to pile upon him. He pops the unstoppable and he runs away, but because of the armor, at 58, he is just not able to be taken down for free. And Dignitas, they find that 1 kill, but it's not been easy to find others.
Yeah, they still have that global, of course, for the late stage. And now they are also trying to sneak the boss here. But Nick is already checking that out, scouting it early. And that forces Dignitas back immediately. Heads up play by Method and good game sense from Nick.
Not to mention a tribute spawning right on its doorstep as well. So you know that Method are going to be responding and rotating in due time. So Dignitas play it safe. They respond by going for a camp of their own. And the response from Method is the exact same. So keep the pressure up. Keep the eyes in the bottom lane, because obviously Wobby, utilizing the global factor that he has on that Dahaka, is going to keep Method in check here.
And forces Thrall to the top lane now, and that's going to make it very easy for Dignitas to fight around the Tribute. So with Thrall at the top, all that Wooby has to do is join the fight here. Arcana's trying to delay it a bit, gets the throw, and it actually interrupts for now. But in the long run, Dignitas is going to take this one, especially since they are now hitting level 10. So that's a moment when Method just accepts that they're not going to be able to grab the second Tribute, or delay it for that matter.
Preparation there from Dignitas is fantastic. They do get level 10 unlocks first. That allows them to then go for this one pretty uncontested, honestly. Method aren't going to want to risk anything right now. They need to get level 10 themselves and really unlock the power of this hyper carry composition.
Yeah, Vala's actually already starting to work on the night camp as they are still waiting for level 10. Boss is going to move through the bot lane, and now the question remains, how is Dignitas going to play it? Trying to make a play for a double boss and rotate top lane and wait until someone shows bottom. They're not doing anything like that. They're pushing through with the boss and go straight for the fort.
Just trying to consider really what was the most optimal play, if they want to stick with this one here or if they just go up top lane and punish. I mean, you're going to be up against the Vala team fighting combat if they can find a pick onto Wooby.
That would have been nice. Not quite happening yet, but it's a close call here. They're trying to get counter pressure because the Tribute spawns top lane. The problem is that Dignitas is just going to keep pressuring the bot lane, and they are pressuring Keep. That forces Method back. But the thought process here was to get a potential kill against the top lane Dehaka and grab the Tribute so that Dignitas cannot get the curse. But it definitely costs them a lot of infrastructure.
It buys them a lot of time as well, because now that boss, only 7 minutes into this game, is looking to take down that wall. Arcana gets a massive flip, and the Twilight Dream to ensure that Anubrak falls down to the floor. Just like that, Method knocking on your door.
Really well done here. Anubrak could have, of course, burrowed out there with the burrow charge, but that was not an option after we saw Malfurion drop the Twilight Dream. So heads up play, and it secures the kill that they desperately needed. First kill for them, still behind in experience, but now they have a little bit of momentum that they can use to make a boss play by themselves.
And a boss that they're desperately going to need. The amount of sieging pressure they have, the frustration of dealing against the Garrosh and the Root. That was Nick.
Yeah.
They called it. It's true.
So, Nick, if Kay said he couldn't catch it earlier, but Nick apparently had an eye surgery because he had an infection or something, and he can currently not wear contact lenses yet. So apparently it has been a bit of a theme in scrims that he was caught by boss stuns, which caused also some lost team fights. So once again, Nick gets rooted down by a boss stun. No consequence to it, thankfully for Method, but it's definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on.
I mean, he's committing to the cause. The story has to be plausible. Look, guys, that happens.
Level 13 by now for Dignitas, and they're pushing heavily at the top again. They go for a Zero. Here comes the seven-sided, and Thrall is down. In the meantime, we have the rest of the team aiming for mercenaries again. Vala in particular busy at those siege giants, with Nick pushing out the lanes with a storm, but this is going to be the first curse of the game against Team Method.
Absolutely, Dignitas with the level 13 advantage over their opponents, going to look to punish and get as much as they can. Utilizing once again Wooby with that split lane pressure. And Method, I mean, they excel in that 5-man unit, but this is the weakness of a hyper carry comp, is the fact that you have to stick as that unit. You do get pushed across multiple lanes, and that is where the punishment really comes across, and that's exactly what Dignitas are exploiting here.
And Method is actually really trying to go for Snitch here, but I think they're committing way too many resources to this. This is not going to work out well for them. Snitch can just, he can literally E into the base and try to escape here, and that's what he currently does. But even if they get him, look how much Dignitas gets in the meantime. They're moving for the bottom keep now, and Snitch is actually meeting up with them.
It just joins up with the rest of the team and says, hey guys, you know, I've got a bit of a run and gun.
And look at the top lane, because it didn't take the camp out, the camp is now threatening the second keep, and in the meantime, Dehaka takes the fort in the mid lane and pushes that out too.
And we talk about running rings around your opponent, and that's exactly what happened. Snitch giving us a masterclass on how to get your Nikes on and boost around the map.
Yeah, mobility here is fantastic for them, and they get so much value out of this. That first curse is amazing for Dignitas.
And as a result, not only were they ahead before, but they've now increased that to a nearly 2.5 level lead, looking to get infinite value. Bottom lane keep is dropped down to half, and I would not be surprised to see them posture for a team fight.
Yeah, Kena is looking for any opportunity to throw someone, get the follow-up stun and allow a play, maybe around the Twilight Dream of Malfurion again. The keep has not fallen, but Dignitas has by now taken down every single outer structure that we've seen on the side of Method. All 3 forts are down. The keep at the bot lane is on half HP, and also the top wall has fallen. Dignitas is about to claim level 16. This game is looking fantastic for them now.
I mean, it really is. They are the ones in the driving seat, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, based on their performance so far today and how it's been a bit of an opposite one, just to see them play it slowly, not need to take any aggression, which for many people say is a bit of a cop-out. But I would not be surprised to see them go, look, we cannot afford a 0-4 record. We need to get at least 1 point on the board today.
Cleansing Touch has now been taken as well. Quicksilver on level 13, so a full focus at this point into the Radiant Dash here. And the mass amount of cleanse that we now also have available really helps against all the roots, against the stuns that we're seeing from Method. Method needs to get 16 and then force a fight here, but Dignitas is just waiting to play around the boss timers again.
Dignitas can just keep dancing right now. Boss is now just up, which I would imagine is Method's biggest game plan, is to try and force a fight as that 5-man unit. That is what they're after, and that's what they need to do, because once again, look at the top lane. Whoopi is just going to keep exploiting that all day long.
Whoopi should be coming in now, and this is actually them forcing a fight against the boss with a talent disadvantage. Here comes the Cocoon, the 7-side is coming out, Malfurion goes down, Arcana follows suit. That's the double kill right here, and they're turning around to make it happen against the Thera as well.
They are indeed. He was Cocoon, completely isolated from the rest of the fight. Now Shrimpy, a very dead Vala, is isolated, taken out for free, and a full 5-man ace will pick up the boss, will go for the curse tribute as well.
That was pretty much Method saying, listen guys, if we play the slow game here, we don't stand a chance. We need to go into a fight. It's going to be a bad fight for us since we do not have the level 16 talent. But they seem to feel that it's the only option they still had. They made the YOLO play, they went for the boss, and it backfired heavily. And now Dignitas is going to try and end the game here.
Absolutely. Once again, macro across the board. You're looking at top lane, you're looking at mid lane, and now what they're posturing for bottom lane as well. Macro is the name of the game right here for Dignitas, as we may be now seeing what is already a 50% keep becoming a dead keep and potentially a core in the works, because Method are nowhere near level 16.
They definitely want to end now. And they also have another Siege Giant camp at the top that is currently taking out another keep. So no matter how this ends, it's going to be a win for Dignitas in the macro game. But they could also close out the entire game here, especially if they get a kill. But the arrow misses. The boss, on the other hand, is walking towards the core. They're going for it. Cocoon is out and they're focusing on it. Here comes the kill against Garrosh. The isolation has hit and he is toast. The core is falling, the shields are gone, and Method is just going for it.
Absolutely they are. The core keeps going on down 34% in there. Tassadar the next one in that fight. 2 down for So. And Method, they do fall eventually. Dignitas picking up a point on day number 1, and they can hold their heads high.
Dignitas, they get the win, and this is the first tie that we've seen today. So not quite what you expect in game number 1, I would suspect, but in game number 2, definitely stepping it up here and at least securing 1 map win out of the possible 4 today.
Going to be really exciting actually to kind of see where things go towards day number 2. I'm sure they're going to be bidding themselves up pretty severely as to the results they were able to achieve here. And, you know, the fan favorites in many people's eyes thinking, hang on a minute, this is not what we were expecting. And based on, you know, how they performed against Method during the regular split, a 6-0 record, suddenly it just got turned on its head in game number 1.
I really liked how Dignitas in the last game really exploited the mobility that they had around Dehaka and also around Genji, just making sure that there was very little opportunity for Method to get these 5 versus 5 fights with the double support that they really needed. But I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit more from our panel about the last game, but yeah, kudos to Dignitas.
That's right, a little bit of redemption there for Dignitas at the very end, being able to take the map and force it to a 1-1. So they back themselves 1 point out of this situation here. And overall, you know, we made our predictions, we thought Method, but that game was a bit more what we come to expect when Dignitas is able to take the reins and hold on to them and not let go.
Yeah, I think compositionally it definitely looked better. They executed it really well. It didn't have near the skill cap of their Dragonshire game, and I think a lot of their key components of what they're used to doing definitely showed here in this game. So it was definitely a much better performance there for Dignitas.
Called it in the predictions. They found out what they were doing wrong and they changed it. And that was such a huge deal. That aggression, Zalia, who actually has the highest average time spent alive of any player due to a little bit of safe play on Malfurion a lot of the time, just went ham and it worked so well.
I mean, I think that Dignitas knows their strengths. They didn't play to it in the first game of the series. They threw the Chromie pick out there, which I never really saw much strength in, and it didn't work out, right?
Yep.
Against Tempest, they played their strengths as well, to a lesser extent than they did on this Cursed Hollow game. Tempest gave them some trouble. We had a close series. They go back to, again, comfort styles. They adapt on the fly in this, as Tetra is alluding to. And I think that's what makes Dignitas such a great team. That's why they bounce back when they have these weak starts early in tournaments. In the group stage, they bounce back because they get more comfortable, they adapt.
And it's a classic Cursed Hollow game, realistically speaking, when you've got something like a Hanzo there. It's camp control, boss control, and we can take a look at the top 3 players here as this series has rounded out across this 1-1. In fact, our first 1-1 for the entirety of the day.
I think a lot of people were expecting one of the last 2 series to be there. We finally got it instead of a lot of 2s and 0s here.
Yep.
As this was kind of one of the earlier parts here in Dragonshire.
And the silence didn't actually land on Genji. It was a really nice dodge by Snitch. But Malfurion, just such good engages onto him. And this is really what Method were doing most of the game.
I mean, Method just controlled this game in so many ways. The macro, the Deckard Cane. Switching up, I guess we're jumping into number 2 now, which is this boss push.
Was this where they got a noob? Yeah, it was. Bit of a mistake, staying too far forward.
It was
Easy
the
kill.
Unstoppable, though, that we saw Garrosh there's like, what if I just use Indomitable and walk through this boss stun and just run over here and get the toss?
And
oh man, this was the arrow that led to everything else. That back arrow we saw from Poik that set this fight up, and it was just super one-sided. Method had to take a risky fight, had to take a sloppy fight here. They were out of luck, so I can't blame him for that, but it was really good execution there on the arrow.
We were backstage, and Jay Howe pretty much called everything from that first boss happening all the way to the end of the game, where basically they're going to get a boss, control the map, go there, Method will fight them there in 5 minutes, and Dignitas, if they can grab it, will win the game. He absolutely called it, and it was exactly how it went. That Dragon Arrow, as you called out, that was beautiful. Loved that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what we mean when it's like the traditional Cursed Hollow game, when you've got something like Hanzo available to you. But of course, we're going to head over to the interview now, as Heku is ready with an all-familiar guest, as she had an interview with him a few weeks ago.
Thank you, James. Right now, I'm joined by Snitch from Dignitas. Today was a pretty hard day for you. You won the last game, but what went wrong in the first one?
Just today felt very strange. I think it's our hardest day schedule-wise, so we can look forward to having a little bit of an easier time the rest of the days. But it just felt today like there were multiple times where we just kind of fell out of sync. I'm not really sure what's going on myself. It just felt like we were just a bit off. But all we can really do is just try and work hard on our practice and make sure that we're ready for the rest of the group stage.
Okay, good. In the last game, we saw Karazim from your team. It's the first Karazim of MSB. What did you go for that pick?
Zayli is a very flexible support that we've all come to know. He loves his niche picks, and I think when he feels the support in the moment, he's very vocal about it, and it just felt like a good situation for Monk. He's pretty good on these like brawly maps, and we knew that if we're ending up defending from a push, which we kind of predicted they were going to play like a heavy tri-lane, that Monk's pretty good for the defense with the block totem and just taking those skirmishes, so he kind of just fit the comp pretty well.
And tomorrow you're playing versus CE from China. Today we saw Method playing versus them. They had some special and interesting comps. Are you preparing something similar?
I can't promise we'll be as crazy as Method. They seem to be the evil geniuses of this tournament. But, we'll definitely take CE seriously. They had definitely some good moments today, so we're excited to play against them tomorrow and see what they can do.
Okay, thank you. I think you deserve some rest right now. I'll not keep you any longer. Kalaris, are we ready to wrap up?
I think so. Thank you very much as well, Snitch, for the words that we hear from you moving through. And I think it is a fair assessment that, today for them is a tough schedule. Not only do they go up against 2 of the bigger names in the group, but also there was a big separation between when they were playing those games. So the day is long for them, as it is for us, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they had the fatigue game against Tempest as well. The crazy BOE game where they got the 2 early keeps, and then there was an ongoing battle, an onslaught where Tempest just was relentless. They would not be defeated. It feels really bad to lose a long series like that. 0-2, when the series was closer than what you're going to see when you look up the website, the results the next day from the fans, right? You fought really hard in that second game. It was exhausting, and then you've got to wait for the final game of the night. It's pretty demoralizing.
And speaking of which, of course, let's take a final gander at those groups for today, because all of the results are now tallied across our 7 series with 2-0s, 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 and then in Group B, you've got 2-0, 2-0, 3-1, 1-3, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you can see here overall that a few teams have had 1 or 2 fixtures themselves to actually go into this, and it's kind of mixed things up a little bit in Group B. But tomorrow, of course, we're going to have that happen in Group A as well, with even more fixtures coming along.
Absolutely. But right now, Method, basically one of the only teams to play 2 series, but they are at the top of the table thanks to that 1 point they were able to steal from Dignitas. So really good for them moving into the next couple of days, and really good for them for aiming for that top 2, which is so important in terms of seeding, not just top 3.
That's right. And tomorrow's seeding, of course, tomorrow's schedule, of course. Whew, you got me with the seeding. We will have 7 games once again tomorrow. We're going to start things off with Gen G versus Tempo Storm. And considering what we just saw from Tempo Storm, I think a lot of people are looking forward to that series, J-How.
You better wake up early if you're on the West Coast, even the East Coast here in the U.S. I know if I was home and not here, I would be waking up early. So
I think another great one is Tempest versus Heroes Hearth.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really good one. I mean, Heroes Hearth looking fantastic, sure, against a arguably weaker opponent, but you know, Korea's already fallen to NA once. Will Tempest be able to at least do better this time than they did against Roll20 at BlizzCon? That's a question we have to ask.
I just noticed it's a true trial by fire for Tempo Storm tomorrow, because not only do they play the first series of the day, they play the last series of the day as well. So best of luck, boys. That's
rough schedule.
That's a rough schedule, but that's how it breaks down here as in this round robin format. And then the next few days get a little bit easier for people with less games per day, etc., and things like that. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for today. Day number 1 is done. Day number 1 is concluded. We've been here for a while, but it's always great to get back here for the mid-season brawl. We've had a great day of games for our round robin, and we shall see you tomorrow, same time, same place.